Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and it is time for our June 2022 release hop. Hey, so I'm using our brand new Farm Scenic dies along with the stamp set Wishing You Comfort. And I'm using Tailored Expressions, the 6x6 inch masking stencil circles. So I've got a piece of Nina Desert Storm cardstock that's just a titch bigger than an A2 size card base. And I'm going to ink blend onto this Nina Desert Storm piece with some Distress Oxide inks. I'm also going to make this card in a white version. So, we can see how the Distress Oxide inks look on both. There we are. So I'm just using some masking tape, taping it to the back. I'll be using my Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station to put my stencil down. There we are. So I am using Distress Oxide inks in Walnut Stain, Rusty Hinge, and Mustard Seed. And I'm using Tailored Expressions blending brushes. And I'm going to blend, Mustard Seed on the top into Rusty Hinge. And then on the bottom will be the Walnut Stain. And this is actually a combination from Christina Werner's Distress Oxide blends. There we are. I'm also going to be pulling in our spring dies too, and our spring banner dies also at the end. There we are. So I'm just trying to, get a smooth blend, but it doesn't have to be perfect. The nice thing about Distress Oxide inks are that they show up on colored cardstock because it's a pigment ink, it sits on top. There we go. So there's my blend on the Desert Storm cardstock, the craft. Now I'm going to be putting it onto Simon Says Stamp, an A2 pre-scored card. There we are. I'm going to blend right on my card base. The other one, I will be sticking down my my craft piece on top of the same pre-folded cards from Simon Says Stamp. There we go. So I'm going to blend on the same three colors, going from lightest to darkest, and then I will kind of blend in between the colors. And I'm hoping to make a couple of very easy sympathy cards today. There we go. So I'm just blending that out, making sure I get a nice blend. Doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. And there. So I'm going to stick down that the craft card that I blended on top of the Simon Says Stamp A2 pre-scored cards. So I'm just going to stick it down using my ATG tape, and I will just try and line that up. I just found it easier to do it, face down because I will be trimming off the extra. Just was trying to center it. Then I will trim off the edges to make sure everything is centered. There we are. And now I'm going to be stamping the sentiment. So the sentiment is from the Wishing You Comfort stamp set. It's perfect for sympathy cards. And I know you're thinking, how is she making a sympathy card with this farm release? And this is how. I'm pulling in our Farm Scenic dies, those 2 pieces of wheat. They're perfect for this. So I cut those out of American Crafts black cardstock using my Gemini machine. And now I'm going to line up my stamp set, or my stamp image that says With Love and Remembrance, using my Misty in case I've got to stamp it more than once. That's always the best way to go when you're doing a sentiment. And I'm going to use my VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink. And with sentiments, what you want to do is you want to stamp multiple times, but just press lightly. You don't want to press too hard because you're going to squish the letters and it might not make it like a super clear sentiment, right? It might make the letters fatter or something. You don't want that. So a couple of, light applications of ink and stamping, just pressing it down enough so your stamp makes contact with your card front. And then that's it. So there we go. I'm going to do the exact same thing with this craft card. The reason I actually did it like this was because I'm out of my craft, my paper tray ink craft cardstock that I usually use for card bases. Otherwise, I would have blended right on that. But I didn't have any, so I had to use my Nina Desert Storm. So there we go. So I'm going to stamp the same sentiment on this one. And like I said, a couple of super easy sympathy cards. And when you need a sympathy card, you don't feel like making one. So it's always nice to have these, in your stash. So in case that horrible day comes and you need one, you have it. So I'm using my art glitter glue, and I'm going to stick down the one without the leaves first. There we go. And I'll do that on both cards with the art glitter glue. I'm using reverse tweezers just to get my fingers out of the way. There we go. And I just want it off to the side of the circle. There we go. And then I'm taking the one with the leaves and I'm going to apply my same art glitter glue. And I'm going to line it up to look like that stem, both stems are coming out from the same bunch of leaves is what I'm going for. There we go. And I will weight it down with an acrylic block off to the side. And I'm going to do the exact same thing now with my craft one. There we are. And I will stick that down in place. Now there's a bunch of Christina Werner Distress Oxide ink blends that you could use to make these cards. And I probably will in the future make a few more ink blends because these were super easy. So there we go. So now I'm pulling out my spring border die or banner dies, and I'm using the little tiny butterfly from that. And then I'm using the smallest butterfly from the spring dies too. Cut them out with that same American Crafts cardstock. You'll notice I use a bamboo skewer to sort of poke them out. I'm bending those little ones in half. And I'm going to pop on the little butterfly. So it's flying off to the left. There we go. It's so tiny, right? It's like a little tiny butterfly. And then I'm going to take my the smallest butterfly in the spring dies too, and I'm just going to apply some glue to the center, and I will hold down the center so it glues, so it sticks down, so the glue sets. And I'll do the same thing with the other one. There we go. And that's about it. Like I forgot to tape the placement. I was using Studio Katya's black rhinestones, and I applied 5 of those to the front, but I forgot to film that part. But you will see at the end here my pictures of these 2 cards. I think they turned out really well. Nice, clean and simple look. Zhuzh up those butterflies. And then there you go. So thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to hop on over to the Jaded Blossom blog. Be inspired by everyone. The Jaded Blossom store to get your hands on this whole release. And remember, we have a hop going on. So you want to hop on all of our blogs and you have a chance to win a stamp set. And that is all. There's also a release and a review video on the Jaded Blossom site too. Bye, everyone.